how to actually buy an NBA team. The hardest purchase in modern sports. Buying an NBA team isn't just a business decision. It's an initiation into one of the most exclusive clubs on the planet. A world where even billionaires have to prove they're worthy. Only 30 franchises exist, and they're guarded by rules, politics, and gatekeepers who treat ownership as a sacred responsibility, not a transaction. When Matt Ishbia bought the Phoenix Suns in 2023,
billionaire mortgage lender Matt Ishbia is finalizing a deal to purchase the Suns.
Or when Mark Cuban shocked the world by selling a majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks,
billionaire investor Mark Cuban is selling a majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks to Miriam Adelson and her family.
Both deals took months of background checks, interviews, private negotiations, and league approval. And that's because the NBA doesn't sell teams to whoever has the most money. It sells them to the people it trusts to protect the league's image, brand, and future. This is why buying a team is considered one of the hardest acquisitions in modern business. Today, we're breaking down exactly how the process really works, step by step. Step 1. Proving you're rich enough to even try. Long before any official paperwork is submitted, an unspoken rule separates casual dreamers from real contenders. You must already be operating at a level where a multi-billion-dollar purchase doesn't threaten your financial stability. The NBA looks for prospective owners whose wealth is diversified, documented, and resilient. People who can weather economic downturns, slow seasons, and unexpected losses without blinking. Even billionaires get turned away if too much of their net worth is tied up in illiquid assets or volatile businesses. In fact, NBA bylaws quietly require that a controlling owner be able to personally fund at least 15% of the purchase price in cash, with no outside loans. This early financial gatekeeping is why so few people ever make it past the first conversation. Step 2. Entering the back channels. Once a potential buyer proves they have the financial weight to be taken seriously, the next step isn't an announcement or a headline, it's a whisper. Interest in buying an NBA team almost always begins through private back channels. Wealth managers, sports bankers, and league-connected advisors quietly reach out to feel the temperature. Is the franchise even open to a conversation? Would the current owner consider selling? Nothing is public at this stage, because any leak could inflate the price, disrupt the team, or create bidding wars. Buyers rarely speak to owners directly at first. Instead, intermediaries carry messages, explore possibilities, and gauge the NBA's informal stance on the prospective buyer. Deals that eventually make global news often begin with a single discreet phone call that never appears in any official record. Step 3. The NBA's quiet background investigation. Before any negotiation becomes serious, the NBA begins a silent behind-the-scenes vetting process that most buyers never even realize is happening. League officials and external investigators start examining the prospective owner's history, not in a superficial way, but with the depth of a political security check. They review business partnerships, past lawsuits, public controversies, philanthropic records, and even personal behavior patterns. The NBA wants owners who won't tarnish the league's brand or create instability. So if they find red flags, the process can end before a buyer ever speaks to a current owner. This is the stage where many wealthy individuals quietly fall off the radar, long before the public hears their names. In Matt Ishbia's case, his long track record of leadership at United Wholesale Mortgage helped him sail through this phase, while other candidates failed because of questionable partners or unpredictable reputations. Step 4. Approaching the current owner. Once the NBA's quiet vetting shows no red flags, the next move is reaching the person who actually controls the team, the current owner. This step is far more delicate than most people imagine. Unlike a typical business deal, an NBA owner cannot be pressured, cornered, or rushed into selling. Many have owned their teams for decades, and for some, the franchise is part of their identity. That means every approach must be respectful, private, and well-timed. Usually, intermediaries, lawyers, bankers, or trusted advisors initiate the conversation, testing whether the owner is even open to hearing an offer. When Matt Ishbia pursued the Phoenix Suns, the process accelerated only because Robert Sarver had already decided to sell.
Robert Sarver, the owner of the Phoenix Mercury and the Suns, has begun the process of selling the teams, he said in a statement. Sarver was suspended for a year and fined $10 million last week after an investigation found he used the N-word at least 5 times, had been involved in unfair treatment of female employees and bullying behavior.
And in Mark Cuban's case, his sale of a majority stake in the Mavericks happened quietly behind the scenes until the deal was nearly complete.
We are tracking a growing number of reports that Mark Cuban plans to sell a majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks.
These moments reveal a truth about this stage. You don't buy an NBA team by force. You buy it by opportunity, timing, and the owner's willingness to let it go.
It's no longer someone just writing a check. Hey, this is my team, right? Come into my locker room. It's a real business. It's not, you know, what's the right word? It's not a trophy asset like it used to be. It has to make money. And that has changed dramatically.
Step 5. Negotiating the billion-dollar price. If the team owner is willing to entertain the idea of selling, the next stage is the negotiation. And this part is unlike almost any other business transaction on Earth. NBA teams don't have a fixed market price. They don't sell every year. And their value isn't determined just by revenue, but by prestige, legacy, and scarcity. Because only 30 franchises exist, every sale becomes an emotional and financial chess match. Deals start with exploratory ranges, then gradually tighten into more formal valuations as both sides exchange confidential financials. When Matt Ishbia negotiated for the Phoenix Suns, the final price reached an unprecedented $4 billion.
Price tag $4 billion, and that would be the largest purchase in NBA history, topping the purchase of the Brooklyn Nets and Barclays Center.
A number shaped not just by the team's performance, but by market strength, location, and the growing global reach of the NBA. Meanwhile, Mark Cuban's sale of the Mavericks involved an unusual structure, where he maintained basketball control even after selling a majority stake, proving that in these negotiations, creativity matters just as much as money. Each deal is unique, shaped by timing, leverage, and the personalities involved.
I still get to love basketball.
Exactly.
I don't have to worry about all that. And I still help them. It's not like I'm not involved. It went to being not involved to them kind of squeezing me back in some and learning from me.
Step 6. Surviving the NBA's full financial audit. Once the buyer and seller agree on a price, the deal enters the NBA's most unforgiving phase, the financial audit. This is where the league brings in independent firms to tear apart every number connected to the buyer, their liquidity, debt structure, cash flow, investment history, and the source of every dollar being used in the purchase. Nothing is accepted at face value. If even a portion of the funds look unstable, overly leveraged, or connected to questionable partners, the league will stop the transaction in its tracks. This is why Matt Ishbia's deal moved quickly. His liquidity was clear, documented, and straightforward. In contrast, other billionaire groups have been rejected quietly because their capital was tied up in unpredictable markets or complex private partnerships. And in major deals like Mark Cuban's, the NBA dissected not just the Adelson family's wealth, but the structure of the ownership arrangement to ensure it aligned with league rules. This step is the league's shield, the barrier that protects the NBA from financial instability, risky investors, and long-term disasters. Step 7. The background check, where deals quietly die. After the financial audit, the NBA begins something far more personal, the background investigation. This is the point where the league digs into the buyer's reputation, legal history, business controversies, political ties, and even past comments that could embarrass the NBA. Former FBI investigators and private intelligence firms are often contracted to run deep dive checks across international databases. They interview business partners, examine old lawsuits, and look for anything that could signal future scandal. This step has quietly killed multiple near-completed sales over the years. The NBA has turned away billionaires with unresolved litigation, conflicts of interest, or controversial industry ties that could harm the league's global reputation. Even minor public relations risks are flagged. It's why buyers must present not just money, but a clean public identity. Those who pass this stage prove they can represent the NBA's values on the world stage, and not turn into the next headline crisis. Step 8. The NBA owners vote. Once the background check is clear, the deal goes to the 30 NBA owners for approval. This vote is confidential, but the rule is simple. The buyer must secure at least 75% of the votes. Owners aren't just voting on the money, they're voting on whether the new buyer fits the culture, stability, and long-term vision of the league. A buyer with strong financials but weak relationships can still be rejected, which is why many candidates quietly meet owners long before the vote. When the approval is granted, the sale becomes official, and the NBA welcomes its next franchise owner. Step 9. Transition of power. Once the vote passes, the NBA works with both parties to finalize the transition. The new owner gains full operational control, hiring authority, front office decisions, financial oversight, and long-term strategic planning. Meanwhile, the previous owner steps back entirely, except in rare cases where they keep a minority stake. This phase is usually quiet, but it's where the real work begins, assembling leadership, setting culture, and shaping the franchise's future direction from day one. Step 10. Public announcement and media framing. After all contracts are signed and the NBA confirms the sale, the final step is the public rollout. The league issues an official press release, the new owner gives introductory interviews, and the franchise's media team crafts the narrative. A new era, a new vision, a new face of the organization. This moment is carefully timed and strategically framed. It reassures fans, attracts sponsors, and signals stability. For many owners, this is the first time the world learns their name. But behind the scenes, months of negotiation, vetting, and silent maneuvering have already taken place. Case study: how this process played out in two recent NBA team sales. The recent sales of the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks are perfect examples of how the NBA's ownership process works behind the scenes. In the Suns' case, Matt Ishbia moved with unprecedented speed because he already had the one thing the league values most: proof of funds. His family's mortgage empire, UWM, had the liquidity the NBA wanted to see in Step 1. That alone pushed him to the front of the line. Once conversations began, his track record, public image, and financial transparency allowed him to clear the NBA's audit, Step 6, and background investigation, Step 7, without friction. The result was one of the fastest approvals in NBA history. Owners voted him in almost unanimously. The Mavericks sale followed similar rules, but in a more complex structure. Mark Cuban sold majority control to the Adelson family, whose wealth comes from Las Vegas Sands. They entered the process with extreme financial weight, allowing them to pass the NBA's liquidity review instantly. But the interesting twist was the ownership structure. Cuban retained basketball control while the Adelsons held the majority stake. This demanded extra scrutiny during the NBA's audit and background check phase, Steps 6 and 7, because the league needed to confirm the arrangement aligned with governance rules. Once everything checked out, the owners voted overwhelmingly in favor, a textbook example of Step 8. Both deals show the same pattern. The NBA isn't just selling a franchise, it's evaluating the future stability of the league. Liquidity opened the door, reputation closed the deal, and the owner's vote sealed the transition. Two different buyers, two different structures, but the same system guiding both paths from private interest to public announcement. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, then imagine what's coming next. The world of NBA ownership is far bigger than headlines. It's a hidden economy of power, strategy, and billion-dollar maneuvers. So if you want more deep dive videos like this, covering the business moves that shape sports, money, and influence at the highest level, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment about which team or owner you want explored next. Your engagement helps us uncover more of the stories that never make it to the press.